Good afternoon, and this is the Mon Valley Community Band. This is a traditional small community band. Now we should be out in a gazebo, see, and you should be around the gazebo and we should be swatting flies and worrying about how hot it is and it's going to rain. However, here's where we depart. We like the air conditioning and we like it inside. Sorry to disappoint you that we're not outside, but you just have to live with the air conditioning, okay? Now, because it's a traditional community band, traditional community bands play marches. So we're going to play a march, but it's not the march that is traditional. Our march that we're going to begin with comes from Broadway. It was written in 1927 by George and Ira Gershwin, and it was written for a musical. So as we play it, you're going to hear it's more like a little suite instead of a straight-ahead march, and it's entitled Strike Up the Band. Kind of tough to march to that, but that's why it's from Broadway. Next number, we're going to play two movements from something that was written by Stuart Johnson, and it's entitled A Fairground Suite. But that's the wrong title for Western Pennsylvania, because we have a fairground all the time, and it's called Kennywood. I have to tell you, I read this morning's paper, and do you realize that the racer is 90 years old? Isn't that something? And we've all ridden on a racer. And at first I thought I was the only one. I couldn't figure out how I started here and ended up here, and I ended up at, was going to say, well, there's a U-turn in there, and they just fool everybody. So we're going to play two pieces from a fairground. We're going to call it the Kennywood Suite from now on. The first one is called The Train. the ghost train. Remember that big old engine? It's like 95 degrees, and your grandmother, when you're a little kid, takes it past the big engine. Holy mackerel, it's just like you're just sweating. And you get on, you ride around, you look down at the steel works and everything. Then the second move we're going to play is entitled Roller Coaster. You pick the roller coaster. The Racer, the Pippin, the Jackrabbit, the Thunderbolt. Now, forget about the steel cups. We just want the wood ones. They're Kennywood Sweet. Now, you don't get off that easy. That's only the trick. Make sure that steel bar is down in front of you because you don't want to sail out of the roller coaster, okay? Hope nobody ate a lot of candy before they got on that roller coaster, because you get sick. Community bands very often played music that well, it wasn't pop music, it was folk songs. The next piece of music is entitled Fantasy on a Fiddle Tune. Pierre LaPlante took an old fiddle tune called Old Joe Clark, and he turned it into kind of a suite. You're always going to know where the tune is, but it's really neat on what a composer does, because sometimes it's not the tune, it's what the composer does to it. Fantasy on a Fiddle Tune. kind of neat what a composer can do with a folk song. Then again, Beethoven and Bach and Brahms, they did the same thing. 2017 marks the 100th anniversary of the United States entrance into World War I. World War I, as horrible as it was, there's always music that goes along with it. Not to be happy, not to celebrate it, but just to cope with the terrible situation. One of the tunes that everybody sang during World War I was Give My Regards to Broadway, except that it wasn't written for World War I. It was written in 1904 for a Broadway musical starring George M. Cohan. This next arrangement by Chris Sharp is entitled Give My Regards to Broadway. And when you listen to the opening section, the harmony, it's going to sound very dated because he tried to get that impression of the early 1900s musical. So Give My Regards to Broadway. I always picture James Cagney should be, well, there's not enough room for him to dance on the stage, but we can dance in front. The next piece of music that keeps with the same World War I tradition is called Echoes from the Battlefield. And it's just a fascinating piece of work because as I was exploring it, I had to find the lyrics for a lot of these things. And I find that very often it was more an expression of loneliness that they covered up with happiness when they did this. But you're going to hear things like It's a Long Way to Tipperary, and even the band's going to whistle some things, and I even had to look up what a kit bag was, so I found that out. So here we go, echoes from the battlefield. Yeah, they know not to go. Please don't play because it's all in concentration. It says whistle. If you play it, it's going to sound like Igor Stravinsky looking back. That was World War I. Let's move it ahead about 24 years. There was a motion picture. Well, there was a song. It was written in the mid-30s, and to tell you the truth, a guy named Hupfield wrote it. And it was a very minor success. It just didn't go anywhere. Well, later on in the early 40s, there was a movie made. And this movie starred, let's see, Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman and I can't remember the other guys. But anyway, Claude Rains, thank you, who had the best lines. Claude Rains had the best lines. And it took place in a place called Casablanca. So they resurrected this tune, and it became a smash hit. And the tune was, it's okay. Oh, yeah, somebody got it out there. Lindsay Parks will now sing it for us, and it's entitled As Time Goes By. See, it was on the tip of your tongue. I knew that. Oh. That's all.
Yep. As long as I don't trip you.
The brief screen. Just don't pay attention. I told Lindsay I had to lower the microphone. Where did this come from? That was all good. Nice job. Barry Gordy. You've heard that name before. Well, he had something called Hitsville, USA. You and I call it Motown. He took the concepts of frankly, he worked at a Ford Motor Company in Detroit, and he knew about the assembly line. So he did the same thing with music. He took really talented kids. He got great jazz musicians to back him up, and he had really good writers. Well, there was a young kid that would hang around Motown, and he was a nice kid. He was a visually impaired young man, but he said he played piano. So one day he sat down and played piano, and Barry Gordy said, I think there's going to be a whole bunch of hits coming from you. The kid was named Stevie Wonder. Well, at that time they called him Little Stevie Wonder. Well, we're going to do a suite of Stevie Wonder's works. I have to tell you, the problem that any arranger would have is, which ones do you leave out? Because there's just, it goes on for dozens. Well, Paul Murtha wrote a terrific arrangement, and you'll recognize the ones that he kept in. And don't be disappointed in the ones he left out. You'll have to come back and we'll do another one on that, okay? So here we go, Stevie Wonder in concert. Next one is a real departure from Motown. Remember we did an old fiddle tune? Well, now we're going to do a sea shanty. And the title of it was, well, it's called Rhapsody on an Old English Sea Song, but the title of the shanty is, What Are You Going to Do with the Drunken Sailor? Now, it sounds real happy, but you have to understand, if some guy was drunk, that means you had to do his work. And out in the middle of the ocean, I'm pretty sure you didn't much care for that. So actually, what are you going to do with a drunken sailor has a whole lot of answers. And most of them are not good. The worst is, what are you going to do with a drunken sailor? Well, there's things like do this and do that, but the worst, I think, is put a lobster down his britches. Yeah, that's all bad. So Stuart Johnson, who did the Kennywood Suite, also did this number. And it's really fascinating because he really took that folk tune and he really bent it all around and had some funny things in it. In the middle, you're going to see, or you're going to hopefully see, a drunken sailor just staggering down the wharf. And his buddies are waiting for him. So here we go, Rhapsody on an Old English Sea Song. You want to risk it? Yeah. Yes. Here we go. When you program, there are three audiences that I think of. The audience behind me, that's you. The audience in front of me, that's the band. And the audience in my head. Every once in a while, you have to give the band something that is such a challenge, they end up calling you names. And most of the time, they're not really pleasant names. This is one of those numbers. It's a completely new piece. It's an original piece. You will not recognize the melody because it's not based on anything. It was written, Gary Zeke. Gary Zeke wrote for the IUP band. Gary Zeke is now a really fine composer, and Gary Zeke is a modern composer. Well, he wrote this number that when I heard it, I thought, yeah, that's the one I'd like to work on. Of course, most of them wish that I hadn't heard it, but once I did, it was too late. So you're about to hear the premiere of Burnin', and trust me, that's the right title for it. Are you ready? What could go wrong? Don't overblow it. Nice and light. Ready? Here we go. I was thinking that could have been called Lullaby. Heck of a number, isn't it? Yeah, it's like every conceivable rhythm goes flying, and he lays them all together and says, "You figure out where you are in the music." That's quite a number. Let's see. I'll tell you what. Let's change pace. Let's go back to a George and Ira Gershwin number, and this was done in Broadway. I'm sorry, this was done in the movies, so Fred Astaire could sing to Ginger Rogers. And naturally, the name of the picture was Shall We Dance? Except in this scene, there's no dancing. Fred just sings. So Jenny Ledbetter is going to present to you They Can't Take That Away From You, which is a contrast to Burning.
Ready? Trumpets. Who else is missing? One, two, one, two, three.
The way you wear your hair, the way you sip your tea, the memory of all that, they can't take that away
today, I see. Okay. We're going to do a folk song. Now, you might not have heard this in a folk song setting, but I want you to picture, if you've been to a wedding in the past, let's say 6 or 7 years, about 2/3 of the way through the alcohol, somebody says, play this number. And then people get up and they dance, and hopefully there's not a video camera as they dance, because you just don't want to see that 10 years from now. But this is part audience participation, so Rick and I will help you begin it. Now, you don't have to dance. And I know that there hasn't been, at least we've been told that there's been no alcohol here. So, I mean, we don't know, and we're not judging you. Okay, so if there has been, that's fine. God bless you. Just don't stumble around too much and sue. But we're going to help you, and you're going to help us perform Cotton Eye Joe. You don't know that one? You will.
Now, let that vamp go. I'll turn around and I'll give you bar 5. We'll give you bar 5. Ready? But it's going to take a while. Ready? So, ready? 1 and 2, and here's the vamp.
It's good to know that some people know how to celebrate. Yeah, you did pretty well on the offbeat clapping. I'm sure had we had enough beer here, you would have done just perfectly, or at least in your own mind. 1946, a Frenchman named Trenet wrote a pop tune, and he called it La Mer. this is not the classical or romantic piece of music, it was a pop tune. Well, it was heard by an American writer, and he said, boy, that's a really neat melody. I'm going to write my own lyrics to it. And he did. And they were looking around for a guy to sing it. So they gave it to, a guy named Bobby Darin. And so he took La Mer and turned it to Beyond the Sea. Good, you got it. You took French in high school, I can tell. Here we go. This is Charles Heiser and singing Beyond the Sea.
As long as Charles doesn't fall off the stage. The mic is off. No. There's enough, just enough room. One, two, four.
Somewhere beyond the sea, she's there watching for me. My lover stands on golden sands and watches the ships that go sailing. Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere watching for me. If I could fly like birds of high, then straight to her arms I'd go sailing. It's far beyond the stars, it's near beyond the moon. I know without a doubt my heart will lead me there soon. Meet beyond the shore, we'll kiss just like before. Happy will be beyond the sea, and never again I'd go sailing. I know without a doubt my heart will lead me there soon. We'll meet beyond the shore, we'll kiss just like before. Happy will be beyond the sea, and never again I'd go sailing. No more sailing, so long sailing, bye-bye sailing, no more sailing.
You do realize he wasn't even born when Bobby Darin sang that song. That's okay. We can listen to recordings. Nice work. I'd like to take a number here that was originally done. Well, it's a jazz chart, but it got to the pops chart, and it really made some headway. And it's in Earl Hagen wrote it, and we feature Rich Long and alto saxophone, and it's entitled Harlem Nocturne. can't have enough Gershwin songs. So this is Jenny Ledbetter and Someone to Watch Over Me.
There's a somebody I'm longing to see. I hope that he turns out to be someone who watch over me. I'm a little lamb who's lost in a wood. I know nowhere to go. To one who watch over me. Although he may not be the man some girls think of as handsome, to my heart he carries the key. Won't you tell him please to put on some speed, follow my lead? Oh, how I need someone who watch over me. Although he may not be the man some girls think of as handsome, to my heart he carries the key. Won't you tell him please to put on some speed, follow my lead? Oh, how I need someone who watch over me.
I know we've been saluting Gershwin and folk songs and everything, but, you know, I'm not saying that we're biased, but we're from Western Pennsylvania, so naturally, if you're going to do a group of numbers by a composer, Henry Mancini, have to. The bigger problem, if you thought Stevie Wonder was difficult leaving some of his charts out, think of Mancini. 53 Emmy Awards, Grammy Awards, I'm sorry. Just goes on and on and on. He even had a stamp, a U.S. Treasury, U.S. Postal stamp in his honor. That's a pretty big deal. Not bad for a kid from West Alabama. So hope you enjoy this called Mancini. Thank you. You've been a wonderful audience. And I know we still have a couple, but I'll tell you what. It is 4 o'clock. That means you've been sitting for an hour and a half. I'm going to give you a chance to sing and dance. You know, Cotton Eye Joe is one thing, but trust me, everybody knows this chart from a wedding. But you still have to clap. A lady, when I walked in this afternoon, a lady said, am I going to have to clap on 2 and 4? And the answer is yes. If this was like South Dakota or something, you know, I'm sorry. That's where NOLA comes from. If this was Arkansas, you clap on 1 and 3. How's that? Is that better? But this is on 2 and 4. You've been a wonderful audience, and it's been our pleasure to perform for you this afternoon. So here we go. You have to clap, and you have to sing the chorus.
One time through. Sing, right? 1, 2, 3, go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mon Valley Community Band, thank you very much.
Wonderful rest of the song.
What do you do for the public access TV station, BPTV?
Well, whenever Dave needs a volunteer, I originally got onto this. I came down to ask Dave to put a sign for the Rotary Club Pancake Festival in, and so I needed some volunteers and said, hey, I got some time. And my wife, we travel, and in the summer times we're not around, but it's something to do, and it keeps me busy. And I've met a lot of interesting people, and I encourage anybody that has some time or looking for something to do to come down and volunteer. I mean, learn how to run a camera, help out in the studio, whatever Dave needs, and I find it enjoyable. And it isn't something that you're volunteering where they expect you to come every Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This is one of those arrangements where anybody that has some time, Dave will send you an email showing what he's going to schedule the next week, and if you have some time, you call up and say, I'll be there. And it's worked for me, and it's been fun. I've enjoyed it, and once I retired, then I volunteered here and been helping out here ever since.